Hi everyone, I'm Megan Sullivan and welcome to my channel. I'm going to just cut to the chase, you guys. Today's episode is one big giant call to action. It's the end of 2023 and I need your help deciding which of these 2023 games to revisit over the holiday break. You see, for whatever reason, I dropped these games at some point and never went back to them. Whether I was bored, frustrated, confused, or just didn't have the time to finish them, I shoved these games to the wayside and never looked back. And now I feel kind of bad because most of them are Game of the Year winners or Game of the Year contenders. And I feel like I should give one of these games a second chance. And I'm hoping you can help me decide which one to choose. Now, the caveat is you can only choose one game for me to go back and play. So, if you love one of these games and want to sing its praises, feel free to do so in the comments section below. And if you found this video entertaining or relatable, please be sure to give it a like and the channel a follow. I would super duper appreciate it. Thank you. So with that, let's get started. So, first on the list is Starfield. Like a lot of people, I was kind of looking forward to Bethesda's new giant open world space title. I mean, I am a Bethesda fan after all. But I got maybe 7 hours into the game before I quit because I was bored. There's something about the way the opening hours are carefully curated that made the story progression feel kind of constricted, which is so odd for a Bethesda title. Like, I remember at the beginning of Skyrim, I was able to just take off in any direction and keep running. And I think it was the same with Fallout 3. I didn't get that far in Fallout 4, so I can't really speak to that game. The point is, the way exploration unfolds and crafting. I remember there being something kind of odd or confusing about crafting, or maybe it was a combat system. I don't know, just something about the opening hours of this game feels weird, and it actually made me put down my controller. But the Metacritic score is sitting at an 83, which isn't bad at all. So, is this your game of the year? If so, what is it you love about Starfield? Should I return to it? Why? Feel free to wax poetic about Starfield in the comments below. Next up is the post-game story content for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. I'll be honest guys, I really like how Endwalker wrapped up the Ascian story arc, and I feel like my Warrior of Light Yulia has kinda done everything she needs to do in Eorzea. In fact, unless I see a more exciting trailer for it, I'm not even sure I'll go forward with Dawn Trail at this point. Still, I got as far as patch 6.3 and feel like I should really finish Zero's story, even though it's kind of boring to me, which is odd considering that it takes place in the Final Fantasy IV universe, and Final Fantasy IV is my favorite game of all time. On top of that, you guys, I think I'm a little burnt out on the gameplay. I'm tired of repeating the same roulettes to grind for rare tomes. I'm tired of doing the same types of quests over and over again. I don't know, I need something exciting to do. Are there any rare or excellent side missions I missed in the post content for Endwalker? Does the story content for Zero end on a super high note? Let me know, my fellow Warriors of Light, and I shall return to Eorzea post-haste. Okay, so I think this next game on the list is really going to surprise people because it seems like a game that's right up my alley, and that game is Baldur's Gate 3. Notice I never did a review for this popular turn-based RPG, and that's because I actually have very mixed feelings towards Baldur's Gate. On the one hand, I love it. I love the story, I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the graphics, the music, the writing, and the way this game lets you get away with just about anything. It never says no, it always says yes. In short, it deserves all the accolades and rewards it's gotten over the past several months. However, there are a few things that really bum me out about this game. For one thing, the learning curve is unnecessarily steep, and it's because the tutorial in this game is way too short, especially for those of us who don't understand the rules of 5th edition D&D. This lack of proper instruction means that combat in the early hours of the game can be extremely difficult and frustrating for people, and it makes getting through Act 1 a teeth-clenching chore. In fact, the only reason I got past Act 1 was because people were kind enough to make YouTube tutorials for the game in lieu of the actual developer. The other thing I don't like about Baldur's Gate 3 is how the story progression works. First of all, it's confusing. For example, spoiler alert, the narrative in Act 2 makes it sound like the battle at Moonrise Towers is the end of the act, but that's not true. The dividing line between Act 2 and 3 is a totally different location you can visit before the fight at Moonrise Towers. And if you're not paying careful attention, you can accidentally move on to Act 3 before you're ready to. This almost happened to me, by the way. I just saw the vague warning at the end of a particular quest and was like, maybe I should turn around? Good thing I did. Also, I don't know if this is a bug, but I found myself locked out of Astarion's story arc. Spoiler alert, 54321, but to move Astarion's story along, you have to have him in your party when you meet up with the devil character Raphael. Now, I accidentally ran into Raphael at one point without Astarion in my party because I wasn't expecting Raphael to just be standing in the middle of nowhere. Since I knew I'd see him again later on in Act 3, I didn't bother to reset the game at that point. I just thought, I'll have Astarion in my party next time I see Raphael because they've already talked to each other, so Raphael already knows what Astarion wants. But when I got to Baldur's Gate, I couldn't move Astarion's story arc forward, even when he was in the same room with Raphael. So now I'm stuck with that story arc being kind of frozen, and I'm mad about it. I think my biggest issue with Baldur's Gate 3, though, is that I'm really unhappy with the choices my character has been forced to make in Act 3 so far. None of them feel good. They're not just tough choices, they're lousy choices, and it's kind of ruining the game for me. But I still have a few hours before the final credits roll, so I'm asking you, Baldur's Gate fans, should I just go ahead and finish the story? Does something amazing happen? Is there any way I can get Astarion's story arc to get moving again? Let me know in the comment section below, I would super appreciate it. Okay, so next on my list is Diablo 4. Now don't misunderstand me, I did actually finish the main launch campaign and I even reviewed it. The short version of my review is that I really enjoyed Diablo 4 and I highly recommend playing it, but I never did touch the additional seasonal content, part of the reason being because of that whole kerfluffle with that first patch that hit over the summer. I think it was called Seasons of the Malignant or something. But even though I've heard good things about the Season of Blood campaign, I haven't jumped into that either. I don't know, I'm not sure it's worth my time at this point. I mean, are the quality of life improvements enough to justify jumping back into the game? Is level grinding past level 50 still a ridiculous chore? If you love Diablo 4 and think I should give the new updated content a chance, share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear from you. And finally, I still haven't finished The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Mostly just because I haven't had time. You guys, 2023 has been such a busy year, and something had to come off my plate at one point, and that something was Zelda. But if I'm honest, there's another reason I stopped playing this game. You see, I'm just not enjoying it as much as other people. There's nothing wrong with it, it's pretty great, and I'm happy, for example, that it won IGN's Game of the Year, but it just can't hold my attention. I think a big reason why is because I'm not interested in building or crafting things, and that's the main gameplay mechanic in Tears of the Kingdom. It's what sets it apart from, say, Breath of the Wild. But another thing that kind of drags the game down for me is the way exploration is staggered. Of course, Link can't just go anywhere he wants at any time, there has to be some logical sense of progression. But in the early stages of the game, and even sort of halfway through, it feels like I'm running into all sorts of invisible barriers that are preventing me from moving forward, and I don't know, it's kind of discouraging or maybe boring. Something about the pacing seems a little off to me. Now, the good news is that I hear the story gets really interesting in the back half of the game, and since I'm at the halfway point, I think it's the halfway point, I finished the temples and I'm supposed to be off to Hyrule Castle, I'm hoping maybe that will rekindle my interest in Tears of the Kingdom. What say you, faithful Zelda fans? Let me know if I should continue my adventures in Tears of the Kingdom, yes, in the comments section below. And there it is, 5 2023 games I quit playing, but I'm open to trying